It has been a phenomenal first 3 weeks for the Chippewas here in their 10th season of play in the American Collegiate Hockey Association, as they have gotten out to a 5-0 start for only the second time in their history. That has happened by them knocking off Ferris State and sweeping both LSSU as well as Cleary. But tonight here at Martin Ice Arena, they face their toughest competition of this season thus far as they welcome into town the Eagles, who look to swoop off with their second win of the year here tonight. Good evening, everybody, and welcome inside the Martin Ice Arena here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. My name is Reagan Cleaves as we bring you here inside the broadcast booth, and I'm happy to have you along here this afternoon as the Central Michigan Chippewas face off against the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles in what could be considered the rubber match of their series a year ago. Well, last time out for CMU, they struggled in that weekend series to start games against a Cleary team that was only playing in their third and fourth games. They ended up, after both first periods of that series a weekend ago, they ended up tied going into the second period, one apiece each game. And from there, it was CMU recovering from those slow starts and getting into the second and third frames with a lead, and they still, to this date in this season, have not trailed going into period number 3. Isaac Gibbs got a goal in the game on Saturday, powering CMU to a 6-1 victory with help from Jay Nadeau, who had 2 goals and 1 assist on the evening, putting him with 3 points on the evening. Taking a look around the MCHC here this afternoon, games going on down in Kalamazoo. Calvin is taking on Western Michigan in an MCHC West contest. Dort is traveling to Hope for to end their weekend series. That will face off at 3:30 p.m. Michigan and Lawrence Tech facing off, two very familiar MCHC West opponents for East opponents for Central Michigan. They puck drop for them is at 8 p.m. Oakland at Trine at Thunder Ice Arena at 5:15. MSU and SVSU get things started at 9 p.m. before LSSU and U of M Flint have already started playing. Their puck drop was at 4:30. Taking a look at these two teams down on the ice below us, Central Michigan on the year is 5-0. They have yet to play a conference or a division game this season, and for the first time since 2017 and the 2018 campaign, the Chippewas find themselves 5-0 to start a campaign. They've had relative success starting off campaigns, especially in the recent years. The last 2 seasons they have started at least 3-0, but this year they've tacked on 2 more wins to that and look to make it 6 here tonight against Florida Gulf Coast. Speaking of the Eagles from Southwest Florida, they come into tonight 1-1 on the campaign. They come in. They're coming off of 2 games in 2 nights, and this is their 3rd game of the weekend. They started Thursday against Notre Dame, lost to them 3-1 before coming back last night and taking on Ferris State 5-2 over in Big Rapids at Avig Levin Ice Arena. So they come into today 1-1. This is their 3rd game in 3 days. They had a phenomenal year last season, ranked 3rd coming into the national tournament. However, they kind of failed expectations in St. Louis. They ended up getting eliminated in pool play. They, with their pool winner, Michigan, ending up going all the way to the national final before losing to Hope in that one down at Centene Community Ice Center. And for Florida Gulf Coast, they're looking to have a rebound year after that disappointing performance at the national tournament. They're looking to get back to the national tournament this year in Boston and redeem themselves from their 2022 performance. Last season, these two teams played a total of 3 games, 1 here at Martin Ice Arena and 2 down at Hertz Arena in Estero, Florida. The Chippewas won the only game here at home before they ended up tying the first game down in Florida on January the 21st before they all battled to a January the 22nd 3-2 Florida Gulf Coast victory down in Southwest Florida. So this game is the only game between these two clubs this season. So you could count this as the rubber match from the season a year ago, although the rosters have changed a bit since these two teams last met. Scratchers for CMU, Joel Drucker is out, and a notable departure, again, Devin and Parker mentioned it last weekend, but the Chippewas are without Keegan Moore for the rest of the season. He departed the team before the start of the Cleary series last weekend. Now we take a look at our players to watch. Connor Morgan for CMU had 2 goals against Cleary, putting his season total to 3, along with that game-winning goal at Ferris State on opening night. He now has 2 game-winning goals on the campaign, having gotten the game-winning goal on the first game against Cleary, so he is certainly a player to watch. He's had a phenomenal first 5 games as a Chippewa and in his collegiate career. Jay Nadeau is the other player to watch here for CMU tonight. He got 2 goals and an assist in that second Cleary game. He's on a bit of a hot streak here as we come into this weekend. As for Florida Gulf Coast, Skylar Pettengill had 3 assists last night against Ferris State in that 5-1 win, or that 5-2 win. He was their leading scorer last year with 11 goals and 31 points on the 2021-22 campaign down in Estero. For Florida Gulf Coast, their second player to watch, Tyler Davidson. He was their 3rd leading scorer from a year ago, with their 2nd leading scorer having departed at the end of the year, graduating. He had a goal against Ferris State, but he looks to get back on the scoring train here as he had 10 goals and 7 assists last year. Well, players are getting off the ice, and that'll do it for our pregame show here. We'll step aside, but stay with us. We'll have the Chippewas and the Eagles coming up right after this here on CCHN. Taking a look at our starting lineups presented by Optum X Sports. For Florida Gulf Coast, they send out Alexander Broadhead, Matthew Raleigh, and Benjamin Wallace on the forward line. For the defense, they send out Jacob Langenreich and Robert Nussbaum, as well as Jared Wolfert between the pipes for Florida Gulf Coast. As for Central Michigan University, they send out Ben Rychuk, Luke Wild, and Julian Johnson on the forward line, with Brandon Clements and Sam Camara, the two freshmen, bringing up the rear on defense. As for CMU in between the pipes, it's Lauren Jones, who is perfect through 3 games. He's got a 130 goals against average and a .947 save percentage. Central Michigan will head from left to right across your radio dial wearing those gold home uniforms with maroon trim, maroon numerals, maroon helmets and maroon pants, and gold socks. Florida Gulf Coast, as the puck is dropped, will go right to left wearing those road blue uniforms with green and white trim, looking very much like the Vancouver Canucks of the National Hockey League. About 15 seconds gone here in the opening period. Julian Johnson plays it on the near side. Slides it across to Ben Rychuk with the slippery ice just after the cut here. Has trouble playing it, and he'll have to retreat back to his own end. Here's Matthew Raleigh working it up to the point. It's shoveled down by Nussbaum. Nussbaum throwing it out in front. Oh, good opportunity there. Point blank there for Evan McNamara. Now another shot from the right point, deflects up and out of play off of Ben Rychuk. The shot from the point came there from Jacob Langenreich. And we'll have a drop in the Central Michigan end to Lauren Jones' left. Central Michigan wins the draw in the defensive end, and Charlie Hayes rims it around the boards. And oh, look out, a shot from the left point. Brad McCloskey let that shot go on a one-time wrist shot, and Lauren Jones didn't see it until the last moment, but he was lucky to get his blocker on top of it. It looks like it may have hit the post as he was rubbing it, saying thank you very much for making that save for me. Connor Morgan out there for CMU, along with Andrew Siraki. That line working out for Central Michigan. They can't clear it, but Charlie Hayes can, and Florida Gulf Coast will hold back at their own line with Brad McCloskey. McCloskey worked it up the wing to Bradley Gordon, but his tip up the boards was unsuccessful, so they have to try once again. It's rimmed around to the near side. Gordon in after it, the forward for Florida Gulf Coast. Throwing around the boards, pinching down from the right point. Here's Jared Searles. Isaac Gibbs missed the first game against Cleary a week ago, but still has kept his 4-game point streak alive. Dumped into the offensive end here for Central Michigan, down to our right. Jared Wolfert, the netminder for Florida Gulf Coast here. Puck is free behind him. Going after it is Nathan Bottles in the left corner. Going with his opposite number there, Costello. And it's thrown down the ice here by Florida Gulf Coast. 2 minutes exactly gone here in the opening period at Martin Ice Arena. The only game between these two teams here this season. Clearing attempt knocked down there by Matthew Briggs at the point. Nathan Bottles corrals it, but he kicked it too far for himself. And the puck is thrown around at neutral ice before Jay Nadeau rims it around the boards. Wolfert halted it behind his own net with 17:36 to go here in period 1. Christopher Martin let a shot go from the right point. It was well wide, and into the corner goes Costello. The Eagles come out with it here on the near side. Skylar Pettengill, their leading scorer from a year ago, puts the puck into the offensive end, but CMU has time to regroup here as the Eagles go off for changes. Pass ahead through center ice, intercepted. That's going to be offsides, as Sozio couldn't get out of the zone fast enough before Ryan Bauer brought it over the line. We'll have a stoppage of play with 17:11 to go here in period 1. Sozio is going to get sent off here. Wonder why. Kicked out of the faceoff, and on comes Bradley Gordon to take the draw against Isaac Gibbs. The two number 19s battle for it, and it ends up being the one in blue who wins it and dumps it into the offensive end. Clements out there with Camara. The two freshmen on the defensive line throw it down the ice. Icing is waved off as Brad McSorley barely tipped it before it went past him. 3:10 gone here in the opening period. Central Michigan and Florida Gulf Coast here from Martin Ice Arena. Back in his own end in the right corner, Ryan Bauer takes it, throws it around the boards, and Florida Gulf Coast will start the breakout before Andrew Porzondik disrupted it by bumping Bradley Gordon off the puck. Isaac Gibbs over the line right side. Gave it away, bouncing puck at the point. Andrew Porzondik chasing after it, gives Alexander Broad. Had a slash across the stick, and that leads to a Central Michigan turnover. Connor Morgan lost the puck at the blue line, couldn't get after it. Now look out, Ben Reichuk working over the line. Reichuk, a big physical presence for Central Michigan, was certainly a impact player in that series a year ago. Speaking of which, Reichuk takes McCloskey to the boards before Florida Gulf Coast starts the breakout. Over the Martin Ice Arena logo at center ice, here's Ryan Tollian. And Reichuk lost the puck, but it was poked out of the zone by Julian Johnson before the Eagles throw it back in. 4:20 gone here in the opening frame. Shot from the point goes well wide and behind Lauren Jones. Hayes battling for it there with Gordon, free at the side of the net. They threw it out in front. It was intercepted and cut off there by Ben Reichuk before it deflects to the near side. Outlet pass to Reichuk from Weil. Reichuk will send it in front, but Julian Johnson had a bump off of his stick. Luke Wild with steam down the right side, chasing the Luke's puck behind the net. Ryan Tollian back there for Florida Gulf Coast. Blue sweaters and gold sweaters battle for it behind the cage, and eventually the action is halted with 15:05 to go in the opening period. Very fast 5 minutes to start this hockey game. These two teams both play a very physical brand of hockey, and we saw that a year ago when these two teams battled it out down in Southwest Florida. Couple of misconducts for roughing, and that goes up and out of play. Cleared into the rafters by Robert Nussbaum. And we'll have a drop. That will be held outside the Florida Gulf Coast line on the near side. And we saw it with Sozio and Brennan Martin getting into it last season in the first game, and it led to Sozio getting disqualified for the second game of that series. Now through center ice, Nadu lit up his man, but look out, here's Langenrick. Langenrick chasing the puck into the offensive end, throws it to the side of goal, but it was cut off by Camara. Langenrick gets it back, spins it out in front. It goes to the point, but it's kept in there by Matthew Briggs. Who let a shot go blocked by Nadu, and Central Michigan will not be unable to get it out. Now Nadu and Briggs getting into it behind the play out at neutral ice, but meanwhile Nathan Bottles throws it up, and it's deflected into the offensive end by Jay Nadeau, negating the icing. 14:10 remaining here in period number one. Central Michigan and Florida Gulf Coast tied scoreless for the first 6 minutes. Clock's still running here. You gotta stop the clock, boys. And the clock ran off about 5 seconds before they halted it. 13:55 now. The time remaining in the opening frame. Drawn to the left of Wolford. Won by Florida Gulf Coast, and they'll start the breakout. Porzondik picks up a loose puck and neutral ice. His pass was knocked away. Here's Pettengill across the line left side. Works into the shot, saving the rebound. Laid out in front, and Porzondik clears it behind the goal. Pettengill and Gibbs go into the boards across the way before Gibbs spins and fires the puck across to the near side. It's worked out to neutral ice. Here's Connor Morgan over the line. Morgan pulls up in the corner, looking for a pass out in front. It was knocked away, though, by Ryan Bauer. Puck is tied up along the far half wall. Porzondik in there for Central Michigan, along with Matthew Briggs. And the puck is cleared up and out of play by Florida Gulf Coast with 13:20 to go in the opening frame. First of 2 games this weekend for Central Michigan. They will stay here tomorrow at 1 p.m. It'll be Ferris State coming into Mount Pleasant, making the hour-long trip from Big Rapids. Austin Ritter got decked behind the play, right in front of the referee. They're letting him play here tonight. We saw that in the men's Division II game that happened yesterday. This is going to go for icing as Ryan Bauer couldn't get back there in time to negate it. And so there'll be a drawback in the Florida Gulf Coast end. Officials tonight wearing the orange stripes, Kurt Krzyzak and Derek Woodworth, and the linesmen are Andrew Berriman and Robert Getzmeyer. Jay Nadeau digs in for the draw, can't win it though, and he's still tied up with Anthony Sozio as the puck goes down the other way. Andrew Siraki backed it up the boards, and it's free at neutral ice. Got it, Nathan Bottles took it away. Homework in on goal, fire shot, save off the blocker of Wolfert. Now the rebound behind the goal. Florida Gulf Coast will come out with it, moving right to left here in the opening period. Jay Nadeau, though, cut off the breakout attempt, and it'll be onto the stick of Alexander Broadhead before Nadeau fired a shot on goal off of the turnover. And Wolfert had to make the save. 12:29 to go here in the period. Scoreless through the first 8 minutes. Draw will be to the left of Wolfert here. Johnson to dig in with Broadhead in the right wing circle. Face-offs were a very big part of Central Michigan's play last season, with Joey Simon-Selly being one of the better face-off men in the MCHC. That lofted puck in, almost hit the rafters, and Clements takes his man to the boards. It's worked up top. A one-timer from the right point there by Langenreich was knocked away by Lauren Jones out in front. And after it bounced around off the half wall a couple of times, Rychek lifted it out. Puck free at neutral ice. Rychek sidesteps a check, and it's onto the stick of Julian Johnson. Will throw it around the boards. Wolfert got his signals crossed with his defenseman Nussbaum. That led to a momentary free puck. Chippewas get it behind the goal. Wild backs it up to Kamara at the right point. Kamara lofts it down low, gloved out of the air by Nussbaum. It's out in front. A shot saving the rebound. Gibbs couldn't get a good wood on it in the corner. Ben Rychuk comes out with the puck. Oh, a stick goes flying up into the netting, and it was Robert Nussbaum. He's going to go to the bench as his puck lays in the right wing corner. Back at the other end of play, Brandon Clements getting into it in the corner there with Evan McNamara. Here, now McNamara comes out with a shot, save the rebound, and oh my goodness, how did that puck not go in as Jones thought he had it, and the Eagles are trying to foil the Chippewas' chances at a breakout here. Isaac Gibbs picks up the loose puck, tries to step over the line. It's loose onto the stick of Morgan, who'll let a shot go from a sharp angle, and it was blocked away there by Jared Wolfert. Puck kept in. Morgan thought it was offside, so let it go past him. Now an outlet pass intended there for Bradley Gordon, just too far for him, but it'll negate the icing. Thrown out in front. It was cleared to the corner by CMU. Now a stretch pass off the boards. Back in his own end to play it. Here's Jared Searles. Searles throws it up the wall. Loose puck was corralled by Nadeau, and he backhanded it into the left corner. 10:21 to go here in a fast-moving first period from Martin Ice Arena in Mount Pleasant. Central Michigan and Florida Gulf Coast scoreless here in period one. Jay Nadeau turns and fires it in from the right point. Nathan Bottles, as Nussbaum's stick still lays prone in the right wing corner. Here's Bottles up at the point. Tried to work it over to Ritter. Ritter at the half wall will throw it off the wall behind Jared Wolfert. Puck comes out to neutral ice, picking up the loose puck is Andrew Castello. He trips as he comes over the line. Thomas Philbin, the Florida Gulf Coast Florida Gulf Coast coach, giving it to the referees as his player was taken down as he went over the line, but he's not going to get anything as referees have been letting him play on both sides here through the first 10 minutes. Fans, don't forget that the CMU Club Hockey Network YouTube channel is your one-stop shop for highlights, exclusive interviews, and full game broadcasts for men's D3 and women's D2 hockey. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so as never to miss a moment of Chippewa hockey. Just go to YouTube and search CMU Club Hockey Network to find the channel. Right off the draw, Florida Gulf Coast had a scoring opportunity, but that didn't go. Now the puck's laid on top of the net, on a funky bounce, and that'll draw a stoppage in play with 10:29 gone. Lauren Jones in his 5th career start for Central Michigan University. Watches as his team wins a defensive zone draw for him. Benaraichuk slides it across. It was deflected, but it got to Julian Johnson, its intended target nonetheless. Whole lot of backhand go from a tight angle, and right on the doorstep was Luke Wild, and he's not going to get, and now Luke Wild's going to get called for a penalty? Benaraichuk's going to go off for what? So Benaraichuk will go off for a penalty here at the 10:42 mark. That'll leave Central Michigan shorthanded here for the next 2 minutes. Now a shot from the point there by Langenreich went high. They'll get it back at the point after a pass. Step into the right circle. That's deflected up on top of Jones. Puck free at the side of the net. Cleared into the corner. They've got it across the way. Here's Langenreich. Or Briggs, pardon me, slides it across near side. Back up top to Langenreich. Down low. There to Castello. His shot was gobbled up at the side of the net there by Lauren Jones with 1:34 to go on the man advantage. Central Michigan entering into last weekend was absolutely perfect on the penalty kill here at home, but they allowed 1 power play goal to Cleary, and that felled them to 11 for 10, or 10 for 11 here at Martin Ice Arena. But overall, they're still pretty phenomenal. 92.31% on the campaign. Brandon Clements goes to the wall, battling for it there with Bradley Gordon. It's worked up to the near side half boards. Working in the left circles, McNamara. McNamara worked it up top. Here's a shot by Larson. Feeding it across, and a pass across was deflected up to the point. Kept in there by Larson. Larson throws it down low. It hopped over the stick of McNamara, and it goes behind. Camara across the way, pins it up against the boards. Tyler Davidson working forward in the right wing circle along with Jay Nadeau, who gets out of it but fires it. It was blocked there by McCloskey, though, kept in. McCloskey down to the right corner, works it up top. Here's a quick shot. Oh, looking on the back door there was Evan McNamara, but he couldn't get one on it. Back up top left point for Larson. Larson back down to McNamara left circle. Across there to McCloskey in the right circle. Oh, there's a shot going. It ripped through the crease and comes up to the point, but it couldn't be kept in there by Larson. Florida Gulf Coast buzzing on the power play here. They've got 32 seconds left. They'll play catch behind their own net to our right as they work right to left here in this first period. 7:40 left in the opening frame. Julian Johnson, good forecheck to momentarily disrupt the breakout, but Florida Gulf Coast nonetheless brings it in. Briggs worked behind the net, dropped it off behind the net for Pettengill. Pettengill worked it up top. Here's Langenreich, who fired a one-timer. Now that goes up and off of Jones's mask, and that comes out. And the Chippewas will center the length of the ice. No icing here with 7:14. His time had just expired on the Florida Gulf Coast man advantage. So right check out of the box. Central Michigan 1 for 1 on the PK here tonight. Good job there by Andrew Siraki to break up the oncoming rush for Florida Gulf Coast. It's worked up now. Here's Langenreich stepping into a one-timer at the top of the right circle. He's down in that's Skylar Pettengill down on a heap just inside the CMU line. Good to see him get up unscathed. Now look out, a loose puck right in front. Connor Morgan fires, and it was blocked there by Robert Nussbaum out in front. Puck comes free across the way. Matthew Rowley getting to it first for Florida Gulf Coast. Loose puck at the left point was turned and fired on there by Andrew Porzondik. And holding on to the puck there will be Jared Wolfert with 6:32 to go here in the opening period of play. Isaac Gibbs to dig in the left circle with Broadhead. Visiting centerman will win the draw for the blue and green, and they'll start the breakout. Here's Broadhead after knocking down a pass. 3-on-2. We'll step in with a shot looking for a backdoor redirect. It didn't go. 6:15 to go here in the opening period. Martin got bumped at center ice, leading to a turnover. Over the line, here's a shot there by Tolan, and it popped up in the air on the rebound, thrown in front there by Rowley. Now the Chippewas managed to tip it before center ice, but Connor Morgan can't chase it down and beat Jared Cyrils to the puck. So it will be an icing against the maroon and gold. Draw will be to Lauren Jones's right. Lots of offensive zone time here for Florida Gulf Coast since that Ben Rychuk penalty. Now that's lifted up and into the rafters by Christopher Martin, drawing yet another whistle and another draw in the Central Michigan end. Gibbs to dig in with Anthony Sozio in the left circle. Gibbs won it right to Martin, who rimmed it up the boards, kept it at the right point though. Baker was able to redirect the clearing attempt out here past the Florida Gulf Coast defense. Austin Ritter holds the puck in his own end, D-to-D pass near side to Martin. Christopher Martin slides it across just out of the reach of Ritter, but he'll take it off the half wall and throw it down into FGCU territory. Lifted into the offensive end here for Florida Gulf Coast by McCloskey, and the puck goes free to the boards now. Bottles battling for it, comes free to the corner. Clements bumped his man off. Martin cut off a centering attempt, and now Keelan Baker will try to spin around a forecheck here and allow CMU to break out. Now Baker just got chopped from behind there by Cyrils. Not sure how that isn't a penalty, as we've hit 5:02 left here in this opening period. Fans, remember, at the conclusion of the opening period, stay with us for the first intermission report. We'll take a look at the ACHA out-of-town scoreboard, as well as the CMU hockey out-of-town scoreboard, as well as the rest of CMU athletics. Now look at a 2-on-2 over the line. Here's a shot that goes up and out of play by Evan McNamara. It'll stay in the zone, though, as it went off of Sam Camara. .441 to go here in the opening period. Reagan Cleaves inside the broadcast booth. Jack Lee, member of the Florida Gulf Coast team, working the camera for us here this afternoon. Very thankful to head coach Thomas Philbin for lending a scratch here to help us work the camera. This will go into the corner. Central Michigan. Brandon Clements rims it around the boards. Ben Rychuk backed it down into the corner, but Camara was expecting the breakout pass. That leads to a turnover here for Florida Gulf Coast. Up top for Nussbaum. Slides it across. Here's Langen. Right. Sends it across, and they score! A one-timer in the back door. Evan McNamara strikes first for Florida Gulf Coast. And at 15:54, FGCU is up by one. So Florida Gulf Coast, like they did in both the games down in Estero last year, striking first. Nussbaum banking home the one-timer on the back door, and that's just something that Jones can't do much about. Now Briggs entering the zone, the speedy forward, and oh my Lord! He snuck it near side, and 2 goals in 10 seconds for the Eagles. They're up 2-0. Two quick strikes for Florida Gulf Coast. That one was snuck short side top corner from about 2 feet in on Lauren Jones. And that's something as a shorter netminder he has a little bit of trouble seeing, as here's a shot from Bottles, and Baker just runs over a man out in front. And he's got to be careful. That could be considered a roughing penalty if he's not careful. But he doesn't get anything on it. But that was a good opportunity there from Nathan Bottles, just trying to get something on goal with 3:52 to go in period one. Here's Siraki right off the draw, fires a shot, patted away by the right pad of Wolford. Puck comes out, delayed offsides on CMU. Puck picked there by Jay Nadeau. He tried to step around the defense, didn't go. He gets the puck back though on the FGCU turnover. Banker backhands it behind the goal. Chasing after it there is Brady Walsh. Walsh works it up the wing, and Keelan Baker picks up the loose puck at neutral ice and turns and fires it in. 3:24 to go here in period number 1. 2-0 Florida Gulf Coast leads after 2 goals in just 10 seconds, the second of which came from Matthew Briggs at the 16:04 mark of this opening period. Now Porzondik intercepted a pass, and he and Christopher Martin exchanged the puck at neutral ice. Porzondik on the back check was able to work the puck free from Amalfitano, and now a penalty coming up here on Florida Gulf Coast. It's going to be number 14, Amalfitano, going to the box. 2 minutes for a slash to put Central Michigan on their first power play opportunity of the evening. So CMU, who's had a phenomenal power play this year, roughly 30% on the man advantage, 6 for 19. They are 4 for 10 at home. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's gonna be Ben Rychuk to the box after it seemed like Ryan Bauer may have had his legs go jelly underneath him with a high stick. Here, Rychuk not happy. That'll negate the power play just 2 seconds in. So it'll be a long 4-on-4 here. So Central Michigan falls to 4 for 11 at home on that very abbreviated power play. So that'll be a 4-on-4 draw to the left of Lauren Jones here. Nadeau to dig in for Central Michigan. He wins it and gives it to Siraki, who leaves it there for Hayes, a rim it around the boards. Everybody on the ice wearing a number 7 here, as this is going to go for icing, and just barely, as Nadeau couldn't beat his man to the dot with 2:46 to go in the opening period. Hayes, Siraki, Bottles, and Nadeau out there for CMU. It's Gordon, Nussbaum, McNamara, and Langenrick out there for the Eagles. Draw to the left of Jones once more as it's a bit of deja vu. And the Chippewas get out, but Bottles' clearing attempt didn't go as he tried to step around Gordon at the line. Puck thrown behind Lauren Jones, loose puck, and McNamara beats his man to it. Good speed there by the FGCU forward. CMU, though, comes out with it. Here's Nathan Bottles, the transfer from Arcadia. Will speed up the left wing. Will toe drag into the circle. He's taken down. How is that not a penalty? My goodness. Takes the knee out from under Bottles, and somehow that's not a power play for CMU. We got 1:12 left in the man advantage. In the 4-on-4. Keelan Baker over the line. Lets a shot go, blocked it away there by Wolford. Holding it behind his own. And here's Brad McCloskey for the Eagles. Gets it out of the zone and over the line. Here's Davidson off the iron. Oh my goodness. Florida Gulf Coast thought that was in. And it sounded to me like it might have gone off the back bar of the net, but the referee only saw it hit the crossbar. 40 seconds left in the 4-on-4 here. 2-0 the lead for Florida Gulf Coast. Off of goals from Nussbaum and Briggs. Draw will be to the left of Jared Wolford as Thomas Filbert is exchanging words with one of the referees about how that puck may have gone in. 90 seconds left in the first period here, and 30 seconds left on the 4-on-4. Camara holds it in his end, Clemens tried to get it out there, but it'll be instead turned to Andrew Porzondik. Slides it near side to Morgan over the line. He'll let a shot go, blocked it away by Wolford. It's free back in the corner once more. Thrown behind the goal. taken there by Tyler Davidson. 1:03 to go in the first period. Now the Eagles, and we're back to 5-on-5 as the Eagles now are 1 for 2 on the power play as this goes up and out of play with 50.4 seconds to go in the first period. So both teams perfect on the penalty kill, although Florida Gulf Coast has only had to kill off 2 seconds. After Rychuk took a high stick 2 seconds into CMU's second power play. Nathan Bottles worked it around behind the goal before it was thrown around there by Jared Searles. Back in his own end with 39 to go. Florida Gulf Coast looking to break out. Lofted down to neutral ice. Christopher Martin smartly got it off of his stick. Right on his tail there was Alexander Broadhead. Under 30 to go here from Martin Ice Arena. Thrown out in front, cleared away by Christopher Martin and out to neutral ice where it's corralled here by Brady Walsh. We'll slide it across D to D to Amalfitano. CMU back at their own line with 8 to go. A head pass from Baker to Nadu was too far, and Florida Gulf Coast will hold behind their goal and pin it up against the boards as time expires here in period number 1. 2 goals in 10 seconds, the story of this one, as Florida Gulf Coast heads to the dressing room for break number 1, up 2-0. We'll step aside. First intermission report on the other side here on the CMU Club Hockey Network. Good first period. Yep. It's pretty fun. I love doing it. Yeah, of course. Thanks again for doing that, Jack.
You know what Florida's record is?
1-1. They lost to Notre Dame on Thursday and beat Ferris yesterday.
Thank you.
Reagan Cleaves back here inside the broadcast booth for intermission number 1, as after 20 minutes, Florida Gulf Coast has the number of CMU up 2-0 off of 2 goals in 10 seconds, coming roughly 15 minutes into that opening period. It was started off by Robert Nussbaum and Evan McNamara teaming up on a one-timer to the near side, where it was finished home by Evan McNamara, and it was from the left circle, and getting a piece of it was Lauren Jones, but he really couldn't get much on it, and so you only get a small portion of his pad on it, and it ended up going behind him and in for the first Florida Gulf Coast of the game, or goal of the game. It was followed shortly thereafter by Matthew Briggs working down the left side right off of the faceoff and working around the outside of the left circle before roofing it short side on Lauren Jones over the netminder's right shoulder, and that's a goal that you really can't help much as a shorter netminder like Lauren Jones is. It's hard to get your body up tight to the post while also getting that top corner and not letting anything sneak through you as down low, and it's just got to be a good shot to beat you on a corner like that. And that is what Matthew Briggs had there at the 16:04 mark. Shots on goal through that first period, a rough estimate about 15-10 in favor of Florida Gulf Coast. 2 penalties on CMU led to 2 Florida Gulf Coast power plays, although they were abbreviated. 2 seconds still counts as a power play, and so Florida Gulf Coast is 0 for 2. CMU likewise 0 for 1 on their 2-second power play, as it was Amalfitano, and Rychuk heading the box 2 seconds apart. Rychuk was committed a high stick right off of the face-off to start the power play, and that is how it would happen there in the first period. So Florida Gulf Coast 2-0 after 20 minutes of play. Taking a look at the MCHC, a lot of teams in action here tonight. We've got Calvin at Western Michigan. They're kicking things off in about 20 minutes. Hope and Dort played at Griff's Ice House West earlier in the afternoon. Michigan and Lawrence Tech set to start things off at 8 p.m. down in Farmington Hills. Oakland and Trine got underway at 5:15. MSU and SVSU set to get things underway at Saginaw Bay Ice Arena now at 9 p.m. over in Saginaw. And Lake Superior State taking on U of M Flint. They started at 5:30. Elsewhere in Seamish ice hockey land, the CMU Chippewas D2 team earlier today lost a heartbreaker 3-2 to Adrian in a shootout. They were up with about 2 minutes left to Adrian, ended up giving up a goal that barely trickled over the line before Adrian then won in a shootout after both teams were scoreless in overtime. The women, on the other hand, finished a sweep of Bowling Green today, 2-1 in overtime, so they improved to 4-0 on the campaign. They have had a phenomenal start, sweeping both Michigan State and now Bowling Green. They will head to Northern Michigan in 2 weekends, and that should be a very big test for the CMU women's club hockey team. Well, it's 2-0 here for Florida Gulf Coast at the end of 20. We'll step aside the second period for you right after this here on the CMU Club Hockey Network. Second period about to get underway here from Martin Ice Arena. Florida Gulf Coast will go left to right, wearing those blue uniforms with green and white trim. CMU right to left, wearing those gold home uniforms with maroon trim and maroon numerals. Puck is dropped and we are underway. Chippewas have Bottles, Nadeau, Baker, Camara, and Clements out there on their starting five for this second period, finding themselves down 2-0. A spot that is very unfamiliar for them. They have not trailed by 2 ever in this season. They did give up the first goal against Ferris State about 5 minutes in, but it's the only time they've trailed after 1. They have been tied after 1 twice against Cleary, both games of that weekend series last weekend. This is sent the length of the ice, icing waved off as there was a Chippewa at the line that the linesman judged would have had it. Puck comes out in front, and Briggs had his shot blocked. A great opportunity there for Florida Gulf Coast, but they come up just short. 19:01 to go here in the second period. CMU trying to come back from a 2-goal deficit. This puck is wrapped around the boards to the near side. 2-on-2 down in the corner. It eventually is worked free. Pettengill tried to sidestep the defensive Porzonic, but it was poked out to neutral ice by a second Chippewa. That was Isaac Gibbs. Now over the line, here's Briggs once more. Briggs gets crunched to the boards there by Morgan. Siraki for CMU rims it around the boards. Chippewas trying to get it out here. They've been hemmed in their own zone here to start for the first 1.5 minutes. Now Isaac Gibbs taken down. Maybe he went down a little bit softly. Now look out. Here come the Eagles with a quick shot there. Was Andrew Castello, and it'll come back out to neutral ice after it thundered off the blocker of Lauren Jones. Now over the line, a shot blocked there by Andrew Siraki. He's feeling it a little bit, and it's picked up by Ben Rychek. Pass on, or shot on goal, laid in front, and now another shot, save, and the rebound. Oh, that was just sent wide, and another shot from a tight angle. Jones sent that aside. Comes up to the near side. Bradley Gordon takes it, fires it. It was blocked by Siraki. That's the second time he's blocked a shot here in the past 30 seconds. All Florida Gulf Coast here through the first minute and 2 of this second period. CMU hasn't been able to get out of their own zone whatsoever, and Isaac Gibbs just overskated that loose puck at neutral ice. Now Ben Rychuk across the way, throwing his weight into the play. Evan McNamara has the go-ahead goal. And now Rychuk gets tangled up, and over the line on the right side comes Searles with a shot. That was blocked. And Rychuk turns and leaves it for Isaac Gibbs, who just takes it and dumps it the length of the ice. Icing will be the call, and CMU will not be able to change. And Connor Morgan, he forgets that his team has to stay out there as he went off for a change, but Austin Whaley, the forwards coach, was like, you got to get back out there. This isn't like high school. You can't change after an icing. Off the draw to the right of Lauren Jones. The loose puck is played out by Sam Camara. Now we've got a penalty coming up on CMU. And is it going to be Ben Rychuk again? No, it's going to be Isaac Gibbs to go off. Oh, who's going off? Who's the penalty on? No, it's going to be on Connor Morgan here. So CMU is going to go back on the penalty kill. They're 2 for 2 here tonight. Charlie Hayes wants an explanation from the referee and doesn't seem to get a good explanation from the Stripes. Now, referee comes back and talks with Charlie Hayes, wanting an explanation for this call, and Charlie Hayes still trying to continue the conversation as he skates in the defensive end. 3:10 gone here in period number 2. It'll be Morgan to the box, putting Florida Gulf Coast back on the power play for the third time here tonight. They're 0 for 2. CMU on the year at home has been phenomenal here at Martin Ice Arena as this is cleared down the ice by Jane Adu. At home, the Chippewa penalty kill is 12 for 13. Here's Nathan Bottles picking up the loose puck in the offensive end here, shorthanded. Decides to pin the puck up against the boards, and it's 3-on-1 here. Great shorthanded effort here by Nathan Bottles, but it's eventually worked free by the Eagles. It slid across to the far side. Langenreck into the offensive end. Pulls up at the left point, feeds it out in front for Pettengill. And a shot was denied there by Lauren Jones before it was cleared out to neutral ice where Nussbaum holds. He'll flip it to the near side off the wall. It'll be taken by Castello. Played defensively for Nussbaum. Up the left wing to Jacob Langenreich. Langenreich over the line. Holds behind the goal. Into the right corner. He'll switch to backwards skating and throw it down low. He'll get the pass off the boards up the near half wall. Throws it on goal. Bouncing puck in front of Jones. And it's loose. Clear to the point. Nussbaum near side to Langenreich. Langenreich tees it up and fires a shot. Save there by Jones. Jay Nadeau. And down to the right corner, worked it free for Charlie Hayes, who cleared it the length of the ice. 32 seconds left in the man advantage. It has been all Florida Gulf Coast here through the first 5 minutes of this second period. Andrew Porzondik took the body of his man and allowed the Chippewas to clear it the length of the ice. Holding behind his own goal is Robert Nussbaum. 2-0 Florida Gulf Coast leads here at Martin Ice Arena. First of 2 games this weekend for CMU, and the third of 3 here for Florida Gulf Coast. They started play back on Thursday against Notre Dame. This is sent the length of the ice. Icing waved off as it took too slow of a turn. As CMU has killed off that penalty. Morgan is back on the ice here. He chases after Alexander Broadhead, who throws it around the board. Now the puck comes loose into the slot. Morgan couldn't get to it in time ahead of Benjamin Wallace. Now Wallace threw it through neutral ice. Getting it there is Brandon Clements with long hair streaming out behind him on Turner Elson. Will step over the line and fire a shot blocked away by Wolford, almost contemptually there by the Florida Gulf Coast netminder. Now here's Alexander Broadhead, steps over the line, and a shot off the shoulder of Lauren Jones is up and out of play with 14:07 to go here in the second period of play. Florida Gulf Coast has been peppering CMU here in the second period, and this is much like we saw last year with the 2 games at Florida Gulf Coast if you're a Chippewa fan. Ended up in a tie that was a shootout loss. We played the shootout for fun down in South Florida. And then the next night, CMU turned around and lost by 1. They likewise faced a 2-goal deficit in that second game before Julian Johnson got on the board for CMU. He's out there right now with his team again on a 2-goal deficit. But he can't get to the puck in time. He's out there with Johnson, or with Wild and Rychuk. No, Rychuk taking aim at Anthony Sozio, trying to run him down. Puck bounces up into the air, but Rychuk hacking and slashing at Brady Walsh like he's a big redwood tree. Puck is free behind the Florida Gulf Coast net, and out come the Eagles. Long cross-ice pass to nobody in particular, and Brendan Martin will hold. Now look out, CMU might have numbers here if they can get a rush up. Here's Christopher Martin, had an end-to-end goal last year against Lawrence Tech, and the only goal for CMU in that 5-1 loss. Now look out, Julian Johnson trying to bat home a loose puck out in front. Now look out, a race for the puck down into the Central Michigan end. Matthew Briggs turns on the Jets, and it's going to be icing by a centimeter as Briggs and Chris Martin raced for the puck. And Martin, the CMU alternate captain, won that race. Now Gibbs will dig in for the draw. And it's won by the Eagles. The near side, here's Jacob Langenreck. will send it the length of the ice. Icing is the call. Once again here against the Eagles, they again cannot change. And this is going to be another draw on the offensive end for CMU. Maybe they can start building some momentum here with 12:36 to go in period 2. Gibbs to dig in with Briggs. Here's Porzonik right off the draw, steps into the slot, fed it on goal. It popped up in the air, and Wolfert holds on to it. CMU bench, very vocal here in this one. Trying to stay perfect here through 6 games. As I mentioned in the open, this is their toughest challenge. Ferris State now 2-6 on the year after beating West Virginia twice to finish out their opening weekend after losing to CMU 4-1 on opening night. Chippewas also played Cleary, and look at that, Austin Ritter reaching up to grab the puck, trying to save his coach Tyler Koth from getting dinged with a 3-inch piece of vulcanized rubber. Gibbs and Davidson to dig in for the draw, and Florida Gulf Coast wins it. Long stretch pass to the near side. Off and back to Merrill. He'll take it across the line, right side. Work in with a shot. And Jones made the save. Look out as some players came flying in, trying not to hit Jones. And now Isaac Gibbs is getting into it with Tyler Davidson there, and they part ways with nothing further progressing in the way of fisticuffs. Draw to the left of Lauren Jones here on the Chippewa end to our right. Tyler Davidson in for the draw with Nathan Bottles. Puck is dropped. It bounced for a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds, and Nathan Bottles would have won the draw otherwise. Chippewas got the puck out. Florida Gulf Coast rifled it back in. Now here's Sam Camara. He's taken down, and there's going to be a penalty coming up. There goes Lauren Jones. Nathan Bottles trying to get over the line. Can't split the defense. And a penalty coming up here on Florida Gulf Coast. It'll send the Chippewas on the power play. I can't tell who that Florida Gulf Coast player is in the box. I want to say it was either 19 or 13, and that would be either Gordon or Davidson to the box. Nonetheless, time of the penalty is going to be 8:10. 5 minutes after we saw a penalty called on Central Michigan in this period. They're still waiting for the penalty to get put up. Joel Drucker working the scoreboard in between the benches. It is indeed on Gordon. And Florida Gulf Coast wins the draw and sends it the length of the ice. Chippewas can't get the breakout though, and look out, Nathan Bottles on the back check, trying to work the puck free. He gets hit up in the head, and Florida Gulf Coast takes it and clears it the length of the ice. Holding it behind his own end here is Ben Rychuk. Pardon me, it's Christopher Martin. Home move out, pass ahead to Charlie Hayes between the wickets and down the length of the ice for icing with 11:13 to go here in the second period. 1:24 to go in the Bradley Gordon minor for tripping. In for the draw on the offensive end here on the short-handed opportunity is Amalfitano. Digging in against Nathan Bottles, and the Chippewa centerman wins it. And then it'll allow CMU to start the breakout. Christopher Martin to the near side. Hayes, cross-ice pass for a streaking Nathan Bottles. Whole move in over the line and into the corner. Chasing the loose puck behind the bench. He's taken down. How is that not a hooking penalty? My goodness. Referee's letting a lot of things go here through the first 30 minutes of this hockey game. Martin slides it across to Bottles' right half wall. Bottles sidesteps the defense, moves down into the corner, feeds it out in front, loose puck, and Wolfert is able to hold on with the crowd out in front of him. And he'll draw a whistle with 52 seconds to go in the man advantage. 2-0 Florida Gulf Coast leads in off of McNamara and Briggs. Scoring goals 10 seconds apart back in that first period. Chippewas have the power play for another 50 seconds here. Off the tie-up, the Eagles take it and lift it the length of the ice. Reagan Cleaves here inside the broadcast booth. Working the camera for us today, Jack Lee. One of the scratches for Florida Gulf Coast. Now look out, Chippewas gave it away at the line. Here's Wallace working it all alone, fires and scores! A short-handed goal for Florida Gulf Coast, and they extend their lead to 3. And for CMU, that's a misplay at the line. And it's a first goal for Benjamin Wallace. So Florida Gulf Coast getting a short-handed goal there. And that's a turnover at the line by CMU that's very much avoidable if they just keep the puck moving. And really, since that first goal for Florida Gulf Coast, and really since it was so close, the second one, as there's only 4 seconds left here on this penalty kill, and Florida Gulf Coast has killed off all 3 of the CMU power plays here today. Nathan Bottles held up at the line, but since those first 2 goals for Florida Gulf Coast, CMU really hasn't been able to get anything going in ways of momentum for them. And they have been floundering in their own end almost the entire game. Now look out, an outlet pass. Here's Pettengill behind the defense, and a good shot and a good save there by Lauren Jones. Working with the puck in the left corner, here's Castello. Castello turns and fires, saving the rebound, loose out in front of Jones. It's clear to the corner, Castello there to pick it up for the Eagles. He threw it out in front, now look out. Here's Keelan Baker. The Central Michigan captain pushed to the puck just too far for himself. And he'll shake his head as he goes back to the bench. Now an outlet pass. Here's Sam Halley down the right wing. Halley into the corner, puts on the brakes. We'll work up the half wall, trying to work it up top. Bouncing puck, look out. Here's Julian Johnson in with Wild on a 2-on-1. Johnson over the line left side. Oh, lost the puck, tried to backhand it. He had Wild wide open on the back door. But Johnson in desperation just fed it back door, and Wild had backed himself too far close to the net. Right, Chuck in after it, and Eagles will clear it down the ice now in a race for the puck. It's Martin into the corner there with McNamara. Puck popped up in the air. Chippewas bat the puck ahead. And Ben Rychuk comes up with it. Rychuk up the left wing. He'll tee it up and fire a shot. That's blocked by a defenseman's stick up and behind the cage. Now a shot from Wild from the right wall. And it'll be gloved out of the air by Wolfert. 8:07 to go here in the second period. Fans, the broadcast of today's game is a copyrighted presentation of the American Collegiate Hockey Association, the CMU Club Hockey Network, and MAC TV. No reproduction, retransmission, or other distributions of the descriptions or accounts of this game may take place without the express written consent of the ACHA, CCHN, and MAC TV. Puck is down once more, and we're back playing the fastest sport on ice here at Martin Ice Arena. Sam Kamara takes the bump at neutral ice after he forwarded the puck on into the offensive end. Puck bounces around at neutral ice before it's corralled firmly here by the Eagles. Now working on the left side, and a shot goes up and out of play. A good opportunity there for Ryan Bauer with 7:43 to go here in the second period. Goes up and out of play off of Jones, so he'll get a draw to his right. Isaac Gibbs to dig in with Sozio. Puck comes free into the slot off of a scrum out in front. Now look out. Andrew Porzonic turns on the Jets over the line left side. He'll step into the shot. Oh, he lifted it just high. Good keep, though, by Kamara. But the speedy Bauer has the puck up right wing. He gets taken into the boards on a big hit there by Isaac Gibbs. That draws some applause from Central Michigan's bench. Now Gibbs tried to work it up to the point. Here's a shot, and Jones had it. Thought he didn't. What started to come out of the gobbled up position he had. And lucky for him, the referee blew the whistle. 7:36 to go here in period 2. CMU trailing 3-0, their biggest deficit they've had all year. Out of the right of Lauren Jones. In for the draw, it's Broadhead. He wins it. A shot from the point. Oh, that was deflected high and almost went to the back door on Lauren Jones. Andrew Siraki holds for Central Michigan. He worked it into the corner. Now a shot from the half wall. Patted away there by Jones. Kept into the point there by Nussbaum. He'll fire it. And it goes around the boards to the near side. Charlie Hayes accepting the hit and working it up top. It was kept in there and shot on goal by Langenreck. Now a shot from the corner and it'll go up and out of play. A great opportunity there for Nussbaum, but he lifted it up and out of play. It's been all Florida Gulf Coast since the halfway point of that opening period. CMU has struggled to get their legs under them, and it seems, although it's Florida Gulf Coast who's playing their 3rd and 3, CMU has come out of the gate this weekend like they've already played 2 games and have struggled to keep up with the Eagles. Now Jay Nadeau trying to work it up the wall, and now Nathan Bottles, he's taken down. That's got to be a tripping penalty. But now Rychek gets the stick taken out of his hands, and he's going to go, and CMU is going to go on the power play here as Matthew Briggs is going to go take a seat in the sin bin. .6:54 to go here in period 2. CMU tonight 0 for 2 in the power play. Oh, look out, Rychuk right off the draw. Had a golden opportunity out in front. And Isaac Gibbs can't keep the clearing attempt in and has to go chase it back into his own end. Isaac Gibbs gets caught up with Rychuk, and now look out, Florida Gulf Coast in. Here's McCloskey on the right side. Holds up the half wall. Flips it across the way, and Andrew Porzonic will take it for CMU and drop it back for Sam Camara. 1:36 to go in the man advantage for CMU. They haven't been able to get anything going on the man advantage here through their first 2 opportunities. Let's see if they can do something here. Robert Nussbaum behind his own goal. Flipped it across to the near side for Castello, but Castello takes it and throws it down the ice. Now look out, Lauren Jones is going to have to come out of his net to play it because right on his case is Skylar Pettengill. Morgan plays it off the half wall across the way. D to D, near side to Camara. Camara tried to find Gibbs, but Gibbs didn't put much effort into getting that puck here with 1 minute to go in the man advantage. Morgan, long stretch pass to Porzonic, gets it back on a nice one-touch pass. Here's Morgan down the left side, pulls up at the point, lost the puck though to Anthony Sozio. Camara kept the clearing attempt into the point. His shot was blocked. He slides it across there to Julian Johnson. He circles, throws it down the boards for Bottles. Bottles lost the puck. Camara will step in a one-timer, and it was deflected out in front. Morgan gets it back in the left circle. Morgan circles to the point. He'll work into the slot. A shot, save! And the rebound goes to the corner. 30 seconds to go on the man advantage. Morgan down the wall to Johnson. Johnson holds it, flips it behind for Bottles. Bottles holding the right circle. Works up to the slot. Across, back to Johnson. Johnson to the half wall. Up top to Camara. Hold. Wrist shot. Gave it to Bottles. Bottles, toe dragging in, working in, and Wolfert made the save. Bottles did not get much on that shot, and it was right into the gut nonetheless. So a pretty easy save for Wolfert, and a pretty anticlimactic end to that shift for that power play unit for CMU. 5:04 to go in the second. Fans, stay with us for the second intermission report. Coming up, we'll have a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Here's Hayes from the left point, and a shot. Blocked away by Wolfert. Rebound behind the cage. Johnson tied up with Nadeau. It's worked up top. Hayes trying to feed it back door for Bottles. It went right through his wickets. Florida Gulf Coast has killed off their third penalty kill of the evening. Oh, and Nadeau miscommunicated with Hayes, and the pass is going to come all the way back out to neutral ice. And Andrew Siraki picks up the loose puck. Sends it to the near side for Hayes. Hayes throws it into the offensive end as we've got 4:30 to go here in the second period. CMU trailing 3-0 here at Martin Ice Arena. On the Saturday afternoon, the first of 2 games on the weekend for CMU. They'll wrap up their weekend series against Ferris State tomorrow at 1 p.m. Devin Sarah will be back inside the booth with me for that one. We look forward to having you with us tomorrow afternoon. Here's Isaac Gibbs down the right side, cuts in with a forehand. Saved by Wolford on the rebound. Goes into the corner for Brady Walsh. Now kept in by Ritter. Will step into it, fire, save, rebound, and the Chippewas are hauled down in front. And that's Andrew Porzondik. And he's going to draw a penalty here. And Ritter making sure Porzondik doesn't react and draw himself a penalty. But as it looks right now, CMU is going to go back on the power play with 3:54 to go in the second. So it's going to be Davidson to the box, and CMU has their 3rd straight power play of this second period. They'll win the draw. They're 0 for 3 on the night. Hayes, top of the left circle, fires a shot, and it's gloved out of the air there by Wolfert for a stoppage of play. Draw will be to his right. Central Michigan offensive zone to our left. Nathan Bottles tied up his man, and Charlie Hayes stepped in, but he couldn't work the puck deeper into the zone, and the Eagles send it the length of the ice. 3:35 to go here in period 2. CMU trailing by 3. Here's Christopher Martin up the wing. Hold up at the wall, throwing it across. It bounced off of a couple of Eagles players, and now it's moved ahead. Behind the defenders, Matthew Rowley, with Martin coming back. Rowley to the backhand. His shot was just sent wide. Good back check there by Christopher Martin, and now Nathan Bottles leads the rush for CMU with Nadeau. Bottles down the left side, cuts to the face of goal, and he lifted it off the shoulder of Wolfert. Bottles pinned up along the boards across the way. Puck comes free, and the Eagles will clear it with 1:05 to go in the man advantage. Here's Isaac Gibbs in the corner. Works it up the wing. His pass was intercepted at the line there by Langenreck. He threw it back in. Gibbs plays it across for Morgan. Morgan puts on the brakes, accepts the check there from Wallace, but not before he backed it to Camara. Puck to the near side. Here's Isaac Gibbs cutting through center. They'll work across the line right side, working to the circle. A shot and a dazzling glove save there by Wolfert. He has been phenomenal here tonight, taking what momentum CMU can take off of this power play, and he's been disappearing it into thin air with that right glove. Now Isaac Gibbs up the left point. He'll let a shot go, deflected it, popped up high in the air, and will go out of play and behind the glass off the netting with 28 to go. Draw will be to the left of Jared Wolfert. He had to get a puck from the scorer's table, so we'll have a face-off. Porzondik rips it right off the draw, and a save by Wolfert. A wicked wrister there from Porzondik, and it almost squeaked under the right arm of Wolfert, but he was right on the task. Now Morgan trying to win the draw, but Florida Gulf Coast uses some teamwork and wins the draw for themselves. 18 seconds to go in the man advantage. Morgan stopped the clearing attempt, backed it up for Gibbs. Back down to Morgan on the right half wall. He'll work it down low for Porzondik. Porzondik holds in the corner. He'll work it up top for Gibbs, high slot. He'll hesitate, fire it, and it took an odd carom off the end boards, and Camara has it. Penalty over, but CMU still has possession. We're back to 5-on-5. Here's Camara up the point. Camara will bounce it off the boards across the way and into the corner. Morgan to play it. Nussbaum, though, got to it first, and the Eagles will start the breakout. Ahead to Matthew Briggs. He's got Camara back to beat. Briggs on the left side, trying to feed it out in front for Pettengill, didn't work. Now, up top, a shot deflected high. That was Walsh with a golden opportunity in the high slot. Now, up at the top of the circle, Morgan beat his man to it with 75 seconds to go here in the second period. Puck is free in the Chippewa, and out comes Isaac Gibbs. Full feeded ahead to Ben Reichuk, but went off his skate, and he couldn't corral it, and the Eagles have it. On the left wing, here's Tyler Davidson with under a minute to play. Davidson cutting to the front of goal. Saved by Jones in the rebound, taken here by Austin Ritter. Austin Ritter will motor up ice across that line right side. Oh, working on the shot. That caught Wolford by surprise, but will corral it with the goal paddle and hold on with 51.4 to go in the period. That one seemed to catch Wolford a little bit by surprise, and looks like he has something wrong with his pad as he's gained some extra time from the referee. They'll delay the face-off, but he seems set and ready to go here. We'll watch the face-off to his left, and the Eagles will come out with the puck. Here's Tyler Davidson. His pass was intercepted in neutral ice. And the Eagles get it back, though, over the line. Right side will work into the shot. There was Evan McNamara, who ripped it wide. Now look out, Nathan Bottles turns on the Jets. He's got Baker in a 2-on-1. Down the right side, here's Bottles throwing it out in front, but a great defensive play there by Tyler Larson to break up that 2-on-1. 25 seconds to go here in the second period. Clean defensive work there by Larson on the 2-on-1. Taking a great opportunity away from Nathan Bottles, who didn't get a point over the weekend against Cleary. After starting out so well on a 4-game point streak, or a 3-game point streak, he had that halted here at Martin Ice Arena a week and a day ago. As time expires here in the second period, a phenomenal period for Florida Gulf Coast. Not much going for CMU. We'll recap it when we come back here on the CMU Club Hockey Network. Period number 2 is in the books here at Martin Ice Arena, and Florida Gulf Coast has a commanding 3-0 lead here at the end of 40 minutes. Well, things didn't go so well for CMU in that third period because it's really been all Florida Gulf Coast from puck drop in that middle frame. It was like the ice seemed to be tilted down toward Lauren Jones, and CMU had a couple of opportunities to set things up, and those came on the power play. At 8:10, Gordon went off for a trip, putting Central Michigan on their second power play of the afternoon, but about a minute and a half into that power play, pass was broken up there by Langenrick at the right point in the offensive end for Florida Gulf Coast. He worked it free for Wallace, who was all alone in on Lauren Jones, and he ripped it past the blocker of the Central Michigan goalkeeper to put Florida Gulf Coast up 3-0 with a shorthanded tally at 9:46. That built on 2 goals in that first period from McNamara and Briggs, 10 seconds apart, right at about the 16-minute mark of that first period. And since that, it's been all Florida Gulf Coast. CMU has had trouble getting their feet under them. They've been making careless mistakes, not connecting on passes. They just can't seem to get out of their head, and this will be the first time on the year they go into this period number 3 trailing in a hockey game. So it'll be really interesting to see what CMU can come out of the locker room in this third period and get on the board early. They need to get on the board within the first 10 minutes of this third period if they want any chance to come back here against Florida Gulf Coast. And if you're a Chippewa fan, you certainly want to see them come back, as they have had the second best start. They've had the best start in program history, tied with 2017-2018 when they went 5-0. That streak was snapped by Grand Valley, and Florida Gulf Coast is looking to do the same to the 10th edition of the ACHA Chippewas. CMU also had a couple of good opportunities later on in the second half of that period, with Briggs and Davidson both going off for minor penalties, but they could not capitalize on them, though they had a couple of good opportunities with that Bottles Camara line out there for the power play, but they couldn't get anything done, and we head to period number 3, down by 3 here for CMU. Taking a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard, Grand Rapids is in action once again against San Diego. They get started in about a couple of minutes in Grand Rapids. The Saginaw Spirit in action at the Erie Otters. Sean Bednard, former Central Michigan hockey broadcaster, will be on the call for Erie. That's his home team now, and good luck to him as the OHL season gets underway. They play Saginaw here tonight, starting at about 7 p.m. As for the Detroit Red Wings, they are in action against the Devils tonight. You can listen to that game on 97.1 The Ticket, and you can do likewise for the Griffins on 106.9 FM, 1300 AM down in Grand Rapids or on iHeartRadio. The Spirit game can be listened to with Joey Bottano on the call for the Spirit at 100.5 FM. We'll get the NHL scores when we come back for the third period, and that'll be in just a moment, as the Zambonis just about done on the ice down below us. 3-0 CMU trails heading into the final 20. Let's see what they can do when we come back here on your home for CMU hockey, CCHN. We are back for period number 3 and a monstrous one for CMU. They have yet to trail entering the third. They have held leads in all 5 of their games entering the final 20 minutes. And this, we thought it was going to be a challenge coming in, and it certainly has been. We'll see how resilient this Chippewa squad is here in this final 20 minutes. If they need to score, early and wear down Florida Gulf Coast if they want to come out of here still undefeated in the ACHA's 2022-23 campaign. We're back underway as the puck is dropped to neutral ice. Florida Gulf Coast going right to left here in this third period of play, dumps it in. Sam Camara trying to lead the Chippewa Rush left to right. Was able to move the puck out briefly, but Florida Gulf Coast moved it back in. Baker in the corner, overskated the puck, taking it there as Rowley. Rowley tried to throw it out in front, it was cut off, and the Chippewas on a miscommunication. Robert Nussbaum got to the puck first. 35 seconds to go here in the final period of regulation. Up ahead to Nathan Bottles, trying to get back on the score sheet after he was held scoreless. Now look out, he gave the puck away to his opposite number. Homework in, and a big save there by Lauren Jones. It was Andrew Costello working in after he picked the pocket of Nathan Bottles. Up at the right point, here's Skylar Pettengill, the Eagle leading scorer from a campaign ago. Worked the puck to the near side. Loose puck battle is sent across the way, where Brandon Clements moves it out. His pass caught Nathan Bottles, and Jay Nadeau thought about chasing the puck, but he had his back to the play and decided to go off for a change instead. Now look out, Pettengill sprung loose on the left side. Holwick around with a shot from a sharp angle, and holding on to the puck there is Lauren Jones with 1:29 gone here in period 3. Draw will be to the right of Lauren Jones, who has made plenty of saves here this evening, but he hasn't been able to get to 3 of them. One of them he really couldn't do much about, as it was a very well-placed shot by Matthew Briggs that picked the corner. And the other one was a backdoor one-timer by Evan McNamara. That broke the ice. 15:54 into the period. Now look out, Isaac Gibbs ahead with Porzonic. Oh, centimeters offsides was the Central Michigan senior Andrew Porzonic. So close to having a good rush for CMU, but it was just a hair ahead of the play. And we'll have a draw with 2 minutes exactly. Draw will be at neutral ice. After that face-off, a last play face-off. They'll check the rule book. Here's Anthony Sozio. An impact player a year ago gave it away to a teammate in Alt Fitano. It's worked up top. Here's Langenreck. Langenreck's shot was patted away by Jones. Langenreck gets it back to the right point. He'll let a shot go save. That was redirected right out in front by Bauer. Sozio battling for it in the corner. Benraichik picks it up and will start the breakout. His pass ahead for Luke Wild is just too far, and it'll go back into Florida Gulf Coast end. Robert Nussbaum will hold behind his end, work it up the right half wall and up to neutral ice, but Andrew Siraki holds there. Here's a pass ahead, icing waved off as there was a scrum right in the path of the puck. Across the way, it's taken there by Jacob Langenreck. Langenreck moved it up the boards to Bauer. Bauer ahead on right wing to Amal Fitano. And we're going to have an offsides here on Florida Gulf Coast. A bit of a delayed whistle on that. Made me pause to think that it was too many men on the ice for a second, but much to my chagrin, it wasn't. So it would have been a power play for CMU had that transpired. Taking the puck away from Jay Nadeau there was Ryan Talian. Got the assist on the Briggs goal. Icing waved off with a good effort there by Matthew Rowley. Nathan Bottles picked up. The rebound out in front, and Bottles gets taken down, drawing a penalty here against Florida Gulf Coast. And Central Michigan will have yet another opportunity on the power play as Broadhead will take a seat in the box. Central Michigan power play has struggled here tonight. 0 for 4 thus far. They were 30% coming into this one. Here's Isaac Gibbs, a shot from the right point through traffic and wide. Camara played it down low to Rychuk. Backhanded it behind the goal. Rychuk got tangled up there with McCloskey. Camara able to keep it at the left point. Hold, slide it to the near side for Morgan. Down low to Porzondik. Back up for Morgan, right point. Morgan, high slot to Gibbs. Will hesitate and fire a shot about 2 feet wide of the goal. And Florida Gulf Coast gets to the rebound, and Briggs clears it down. 1:24 to go in the man advantage. CMU trying to break the ice past Jared Wolfert here in this one. Last time CMU beat Florida Gulf Coast, it was about a year ago tomorrow in a 2-3 battle here on the ice at Martin Ice Arena. Since then, a lot of things have changed. Senior leadership for CMU exited, and this new team trying to find their identity is taking on Florida Gulf Coast, and taken down out in front was Connor Morgan. He went down heavily, and Andrew Porzondik, standing up for his teammates, gave a nice shove to Samuel Halley. But it looks like no penalties are going to come in the wake of that scrum. 15:24 to go here in period number 3. CMU trying to get a goal early on in this period to pull themselves back within a manageable distance of 2 goals. Charlie Hayes picks up the long rebound along the half wall before the Eagles take his shot and do exactly what he stopped them from doing moments ago. Here's Nathan Bottles over the line onside. He'll cut into the slot, work into the right wing corner, puts on the brakes and button hooks, but he lost the puck into the slot, and it's sent down the ice, and look out. Turning on the Jets, here's Davidson beating Martin to the puck, trying to angle him off the rubber disc as they go behind the goal. Bottles will take the clearing attempt as Davidson went down a little bit too easily behind the goal, and Bottles will send it up the right wing for Baker. Oh, he tried the no-look pass to Nadeau. That would have been slick if it worked, but it didn't, as the Eagles put it up and out of play. They're going to have a draw in their own end with 14:35 to go in the period. CMU unable to do anything on that Broadhead minor for a trip, so they fall to 0 for 5 on the day, but their penalty kill has been perfect, 3 for 3. Both power plays tonight struggling for their respective teams. Now Rychuk trying to put on the brakes to pick up a loose puck. Lost an edge. And that leads to a loose puck in neutral ice. Taking it back into his own end is Amalfitano. Eagles trying to work it up the wall. Brandon Clements throws it down low. Taking it there is Julian Johnson. He gets bumped off the puck. It comes free into the high circle. Rychuk spinning around, and his shot was relatively ineffective. Now it's pitchforked down into the offensive end for Florida Gulf Coast. Clements takes it and fires it down the ice. High stick here on the Eagles, and we'll have a drop in the Central Michigan offensive end. Fans, be sure to tune in to CCHN tomorrow when these same men's Division III Chippewas finish their season series against the Ferris State Bulldogs. Devin, Sarah, and myself will have the call right here for you on CCHN starting at 12:30. CCHN, your home for Chippewa hockey. Gibbs right off the draw. His shot went through the slot and skidded around to the far half boards. Puck bounced around after multiple clearing attempts. It comes free into the high slot. Chippewas are unable to get control of it in the offensive end. They're forced to circle back out. Here's Isaac Gibbs over the line. He gets lit up with a big hit there bringing the Florida Gulf Coast bench to their feet. Now Ritter intercepted a clearing time. He'll turn and fire a shot high, and a pass out in front. Clear to the point, and the net came off its moorings. $13:19 to go here in period number 3. Isaac Gibbs to dig in with Anthony Sozio in the left circle. Sozio won it back, but it's loose, and the Chippewas are able to pick up the puck behind the net. Here's Porzondik. He has points in 4 straight. Working it back there to Nathan Bottles battling, or Connor Morgan battling for it. Slides it to Martin at the top of the circle. Fires a shot. Save the rebound. Porzondik couldn't finish it. Now it's poked out to neutral ice. Great speed there by Christopher Martin to work the puck free. Chippewas brought the puck back into their own end, negating any offsides that would come as Benjamin Wallace was stuck in the offensive end. Now Isaac Gibbs, he's taken down. Tyler Cataline wanting a penalty from the Chippewa bench. He's not going to get one. Now taken down from behind. There was Ritter. The Eagles feed it out in front. Saving the rebound. Comes loose into the slot. The Eagles get to it. Here's Broadhead with a shot. That was sailed wide. Chippewas get to it. Clear it to the left point, but not out. Cyril's kept it in. Now Christopher Martin slides it ahead to Keelan Baker, the captain for CMU down the left side. Button hooks at the top of the left circle. Will throw it down low to nobody in particular as the rest of his Central Michigan teammates went off for line changes. Behind the goal, here's Jared Cyrils. He'll work it up the wall, stepping in to the puck. There was Nathan Bottles trying to work some magic. The transfer from Arcadia feeds it out in front. Oh, the puck was loose by about 45 feet, and the referee lost sight of it. Oh, goodness. I don't blame the referee for blowing the play dead, but that puck was loose by about 30 feet out in front of Jared Wolford. Now, usually if you're working the points as a referee, you try to help out your partner by yelling loose, loose, but the play developed so quickly, you didn't really have time to do that. Now, turning on the Jets, here's Robert Nussbaum. His pass ahead was deflected up and out of play by Keelan Baker, and it caromed off the wall and hit Tyler Koth in the back on the Chippewa bench. He seems to be okay, and we'll have a draw at neutral ice. 11:38 to go here in period 3. Florida Gulf Coast hanging on to a 3-goal lead. They've dominated since the halfway point of the first period. Across the way, here's Evan McNamara over the line right wing. Fed it out in front. Jay Nadeau intercepted, and the puck popped out to Nathan Bottles. Look out at 2-on-1. Bottles and Nadeau over the line left side. Here's Bottles. He'll work to the outside, forced there by some good defensive work, and all the Eagles joining the defensive rush. That's great teamwork on defensively minded, for defensively minded Florida Gulf Coast Eagles fans. Some great work. All 5 blue sweaters on the ice hustled back and were able to cut off the 2-on-1. Chippewas have had a lot of opportunities like that, and each time it's been answered either by Jared Wolfert or by some good defensive work by the blue and green. Now look out. Sozio with a shot deflected out in front, and Jones made the save. Now Isaac Gibbs, outlet pass. Here's Morgan. He'll flip it into the offensive right wing corner. He'll pull up, trying to get after the loose puck. Couldn't get to it. Here's Clements at the right point. Down to Morgan. Morgan in the circle to Porzondik out front for Morgan. It comes back up to Clements. Across to Camara. Camara will hesitate. Fire a shot. Saving the rebound. Loose out in front. Now Gibbs is taken down. Not sure how that isn't interference. Now the chip. Oh, that's got to be a penalty. My God. How is that not a boarding penalty? Now an outlet pass. Here come the Eagles working in a shot that was sent wide. Lauren Jones on the back door save. It popped up in the air. They jam away at the side of the net. Sozio working after it. Now Clements battling for it and fighting there with Matthew Rowley, and he's going to draw a penalty, but there should have been a boarding penalty down there. My goodness, this game is getting out of hand pretty quickly here in the latter half of the third period. Wouldn't be surprised if there's penalties here. Sozio and Lauren Jones exchanging some friendly words in the crease. And it's going to be Brandon Clements rightfully going to the box, but I wonder how Anthony Sozio doesn't get a boarding penalty down at the left point when he takes Connor Morgan into the boards face first, into the top of the boards, and somehow that doesn't get called a penalty. I mean, Morgan's numbers are showing right at Sozio, and Sozio has been the culprit of some dirty plays in this series last year where he ripped the helmet off of Brennan Martin, and he got a disqualification last year in game number 2. Tyler Cataline and the rest of this Chippewa coaching staff incensed at that one. 9:39 to go in the period, or 9:39 gone in the period. Here, Florida Gulf Coast right off the draw. Nussbaum in the right circle. Sends it to the near side for Langenreich. Langenreich circles, sends it down low there. Up top, here's Nussbaum. Slides it into the left circle, broken up there by Hayes. Now, it's slid across to Nussbaum, wiring a shot through the crease, and it'll come out and back down into the Florida Gulf Coast end. Now here come the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles. Up the left wing, here's Tyler Davidson over the line. Toe drags with a shot. Didn't get a ton on it. And Hayes also got a block. Hayes turns and fires the loose puck the length of the ice. And now Hayes getting involved there with Skylar Pettengill, and Tyler Cataline screaming his heart out from the bench, wanting a call. Up the left wing. Here's McNamara over the line, fed it out in front, loose puck onto the stick of Nathan Bottles. He lost the puck, it's onto the stick of McCloskey. McCloskey into the left half wall. Trying to get a pass out in front, didn't work. Oh, and you're going to call a penalty on that. My goodness. After everything that Florida Gulf Coast did, you're going to get a penalty out of that, but it looks actually like Florida Gulf Coast is also going to get a penalty here. As for possibly shooting after the whistle, McNamara is good to head to the box along with Camara. For Coincidental Miners at 11:04. So McNamara is into the box. My guess is it's going to remain 5-on-4, and those will be Coincidental Miners. There we go. Oh, they took the Clements penalty off the board. They're going to re-put, my guess is the penalty for Clements back on. There should be about a minute and a half remaining on that. It'll be Coincidental Miners to Camara and McNamara. The same stoppage of play will stay 5-on-4. So Camara and Clements, the two defensemen for CMU on that same line, will be sitting in the box. Camara for the next 2 minutes. Clements for as long as his penalty still expires. Chippewas rim it around the boards, kept into the line. There by Langenreich. Across the way. Nussbaum slides it down the wall. Here's Bauer up top to Nussbaum. Hole teed up and fire a shot deflected in the slot, and it skittered just wide of goal. Now Bauer crunched to the boards there by Jay Nadeau. He's got to be careful he doesn't get a roughing penalty. Jay Nadeau picks up the loose puck and clears it down the ice. 8:25 to go in the period. Out of the box hops Brandon Clements. CMU has killed off Florida Gulf Coast's fourth power play of the night. Now look out, here's Broadhead into the shot. That was blocked. And now Wallace gets another opportunity. And Broadhead couldn't finish the third chance for Florida Gulf Coast. And now a pass ahead. Johnson will not be able to beat his man to the puck with 8:02 to go. It's going to be icing against CMU. If you're looking for game reports, stats, schedules, and more, take a trip to CMishIceHockey.com. There you can find those and much more, including player information, recruiting information, apparel, and more. That's CMICHHOCKEY.com. 8:02 left in period number 3. Now look on, right off the draw. Wallace had his shot sticked away by Lauren Jones. Now getting the loose puck. Julian Johnson is able to hold the puck. And now the puck comes to the side of the net. Florida Gulf Coast wanting a whistle. They aren't going to get one. Big hit there by Rychuk on the near half wall. Here's Hayes working it up the wall. Baker trying to get it out to Julian Johnson. It didn't work. Stepping over the line, here's Matthew Rowley. Angled out there by Ben Rychuk. Johnson fires it across the way. Intended for Porzondik. He chases the puck. Tries the wraparound. He was stuffed on the side there by Wolfert. 7:25 to go here in period 3. CMU trailing by 3. Time winding down on any comeback effort they might try and get here today. Puck played with a high stick by CMU. Broadhead's going to negate that by playing it for Florida Gulf Coast. We'll dump it into the offensive end. Back there to play it is Austin Ritter to the near side to Martin. Martin, a sharp outlet pass. Here's Gibbs over the line right side. Gibbs lost the puck in the move, and Ryan Tollian will pick it up in the corner. Tollian taken to the boards there by Morgan. Gibbs trying to throw it out in front with a loose puck. Didn't work. Porzondik along the half wall. Puck popped up in the air. He tries to get after it. It's intercepted there by Sozio. Sozio takes his man down, and the loose puck goes with him. And it's back to neutral ice. Isaac Gibbs turns and fires it, blocked away by Wolfert. Behind the goal, it's held there by McCloskey. The big Eagle defenseman will throw it out. Nice nifty feed. There is Briggs tried to get the pass there from Langenreck. Puck goes back on the CMU end. Hayes up the left wing. Isaac Gibbs dumps it into the offensive end. Pettengill beat his man back to it. He worked it up to Matthew Briggs, who takes it and dumps it in. He and Nadeau looked at each other. Nadeau was about to hit his man, and icing is going to be waved off as it went right on goal, and the Eagles were in the midst of a change. And the referees waved it off. Now he's got Pettengill stepping over the line. Will feed it out in front, wide open, and a shot and a save. They're off the stick of Andrew Castello. Now here's Nadeau up for CMU. Over the line, left side, puts on the brakes in the left circle. Feeds it up top for Hayes, wide open. Had the puck hop over his stick, but he kept it in. Good work there by the CMU alternate captain. Puck is free along the half walls. Pettengill outlet pass ahead to Castello. Castello across that line right side. Toe drags into the circle, fires and saved by Jones. And now we're going to get a penalty against CMU as Camara and McNamara exit the box, and it's going to be interference on Ben Rychuk, and he is not happy. And I wouldn't be happy if I was Ben Rychuk either. That's your third minor penalty of the game, and he'll go take a seat with 5:19 to go. This will put Florida Gulf Coast back on the power play here. Play back in the Florida Gulf Coast, and they'll work out left wing. Nussbaum gains the red line and fires the puck in. 5 minutes even remaining to go here in this one. Stay with us for the post-game show after this, presented by SeamishIceHockey.com. It'll be kept into the left point. Langenreck across to the near side. Chopping at it there was Morgan. He lost the puck, but he gets it back and fires at the length of the ice. 4:43 to go here in period 3. Reagan Cleaves inside the broadcast booth with you. Jack Lee working the camera. Member of the Florida Gulf Coast team. Allows us to bring you this game as we were very short-staffed here at CCHN over the CMU wellness break. Now it's flipped out here to Andrew Porzondik over the line right side. Porzondik steps into the circle, lost the puck on the poke check there from McCloskey. Eagles have it down low. Brad McCloskey holds it. Will fire it across to Nussbaum. D to D, back to McCloskey to the near side. McCloskey up ice across that line left side. He'll work to the slot, send it to the near side for Wallace. Got his first goal as an Eagle earlier this game. Puck is loose out in front, chopped at there by Broadhead, but the Chippewas are able to clear it the length of the ice with 36 to go on the right check penalty. 3:51 to go here in regulation. CMU trails by 3. Puck is loose. Nathan Bottles takes it and flips it out to the line and out as it couldn't be kept in there by Tyler Larson. Puck across. There for Ryan Bauer, who rims it around the boards. Turning on the Jets to get after it. There's Tyler Larson beating his man to the puck. Oh, put it into the far corner with 11 to go on the penalty kill. Rychuk's going to get out of the box in about 5 seconds. Puck comes out to neutral ice, fired across to the near side there for Ryan Tolian. Tolian across there to Robert Nussbaum, and his pass goes up and out of play, and we'll have a drop in the Florida Gulf Coast end. 3:14 to go here in period 3. CMU looks to be on the road to their first loss of the campaign here against Florida Gulf Coast. And for Florida, it's been a pretty good start to the season, though. You lost your opening game to Notre Dame at Compton Family Ice. That's got to be too many men on the ice. And it is. Hopping over the boards just a hair too early was Jared Searles, and it's going to cost his team a bench minor for too many men on the ice. Makes the penalty score sheet that much longer here at the 16:52 mark of the third. Three 0 Florida Gulf Coast leads off of goals from McNamara, Briggs, and Wallace. Throw will be to the left of Jared Wolfert. Morgan to dig in with Matthew Briggs in the right wing circle. Borzanic encroached in the face-off circle. Got a glare from the referee, so he backs up. Now Camara across on the pass from Isaac Gibbs. And he thundered it on goal, and it was gobbled up there by Wolfert. 1:55 to go on the bench minor. To Florida Gulf Coast. Gibbs can't win the draw, but he'll take it to the left point. Gibbs down low to Morgan. Morgan back up Gibbs' left point. Gibbs holds on to it, steps into the wrist shot. That was denied. Now they try to throw it out in front. Loose puck at the side of the net, and jamming away at the puck was Ben Rychek, who, like always, is in the middle of not necessarily illegal antics, but antics that nonetheless get under the skin of his opponents. 2:46 to go in the third. Remember to stay with us for the post-game show right after this. And remember, tomorrow we'll be right back here at Martin Ice Arena as the Chippewas will play Ferris State. Porzondik right at the draw, threw it out in front. Loose puck is poked into the corner there by Porzondik. Porzondik tried to fire it out in front, but the Eagles take it and cleared it down the ice. 1:27 to go on the man advantage for Central Michigan. Back to the near side, Camara moves up the wing to Isaac Gibbs, cuts across the Martin Ice Arena logo, and he's over the line. Oh, we're getting the wrist shot, and it's gobbled up there once more by Wolfert, who has had a wonderful night here tonight. CMU has put some pressure on here in the latter half of the third period. They've held FGCU scoreless in the last half of this hockey game, but they haven't been able to get anything into the net themselves, and that's the difference here. Martin trying to keep the puck into the right point, and he does. He holds with 1:09 to go on the man advantage. He flipped it down low, and he knocked it down to the high stick, and it's going to come back just outside the Central Michigan line off of that high stick by Christopher Martin. 2:11 to go here in period number 3. Nadu will dig in with Jacob Amalfitano. Here's Hayes. Tried the outlet pass off the boards. It squeaked through the wickets of Baker. And they clear it. Back for Charlie Hayes, and he'll hold in his own end with under 120 seconds to go here in this one. Now, Nadu got clipped to the high stick, wants a penalty. He's not going to get one. And, like, that's obvious. Like, the stick comes up and moves the helmet on Nadu, and there's no penalty. I can't explain that one, folks. 42 seconds left here in period in the Central Michigan power play. They'll have a draw back in their own end off of that icing call. 10:50 to go here in the third, or 1:50 to go here in the third, pardon. Charlie Hayes off of that draw win for CMU leaves there for Christopher Martin. A cross ice pass for Hayes, who will send it to the near side for Nadu once again. Nadu stepping into the zone and into the corner, around the outside of the zone. Hold along the boards, up top for Hayes, near side to Martin. Martin to the high slot, fires a shot. It caroms off the end boards and is whipped around and out and down the ice. Martin will get to it to cut it off for no icing. 10 seconds left in the power play. Here's Nathan Bottles up through center. Angle to the outside on a good play there by Benjamin Wallace. Causing a turnover, and now Porzondik stepped into his man with Evan McNamara. Porzondik ducked out of the way of that one as it was lofted ahead to Gibbs. Out of the box. Here's number 24, Jared Searles, and CMU was once again fouled on the power play. 45 seconds to go in the period. Out in front for Morgan. Works it and scores! Connor Morgan gets the Chippewas on the board with 41.9 seconds to go in the third. And CMU has just a glimmer of a hope here with 40 seconds left. That's a great feed out in front for Connor Morgan at the 19-19 mark. So CMU breaks the shutout for Wolfert, but can they do much more here? Porzondik over the line. He's going to be off sides here as his stick came out of his hands. Now the Eagles will just hold in their own end with 30 seconds to go. Chippewas have to put some pressure on here if they want to have any chance at scoring the last 20 seconds. Here come the Eagles. Pass that intercepted by Clements. Clements tried to backhand it down, and he gets lit up. That's going to be an interference penalty. And now Cyril steps over his man, and there's going to be a scuffle here. Andrew Porzondik getting into it there with Tyler Davidson, and it was Evan McNamara who lit up Clements just inside the line, gets the penalty, and then stood over him taunting, and that's what drew Andrew Porzondik into the scruffle. 14.3 to go. We'll see what penalties come of this. Porzondik came in defending his teammate who was getting stepped over there by Evan McNamara. And it was a clean hit, I think, by Cyril, or by McNamara, but the referees deemed otherwise. It's going to be a 5-minute major here. And it's an all-you-can-eat power play for the last 14 seconds of this hockey game. CMU going to try to get a goal here in the last 15 seconds, pull themselves within one. Miracles do happen, but I doubt they're going to happen here. Puck is free into the right corner with 10 seconds to go. It comes up the wall. Martin will tee it up and fire his shot. That's high and wide with 4 seconds to go. It comes to the far half wall. McCloskey will hold, and Florida Gulf Coast comes out of there 3 games in 3 nights set with 2 wins as they take the final 2 games. One against Ferris State last night, and they beat Central Michigan here 3-1 and hand the Chippewas their first loss of the campaign. We'll have a recap of this game and much more when we come back here on the CMU Club Hockey Network. 3-1 the final from Mount Pleasant. And we're back here inside Martin Ice Arena for one final time. Reagan Cleaves here inside the broadcast booth, where after this one, it's a 3-1 Florida Gulf Coast win as they wrap up their three-game weekend in good fashion, winning the last two after falling on their opening night to Notre Dame 3-1 at Compton Family Ice Arena. For Central Michigan, on the other hand, they dropped their first game of the season, and they are now 5-1 on the campaign with a pretty disappointing loss here at Martin Ice Arena here on this Saturday. And we'll take you through this one right now on your post-game recap presented by OptumX Sports. So things went fairly well for the first 10 minutes or so of that hockey game. CMU and Florida Gulf Coast were able to go back and forth. CMU was able to apply pressure on Jared Wolford, and it worked. They got a couple of good scoring opportunities, but at the 16-minute mark of that opening frame, everything changed. It was Robert Nussbaum in the right wing circle, feeding a pass across to Evan McNamara, who was sitting wide open in the left circle. He didn't get a ton on this shot, but he got enough on it on that one-timer to squeak it through Lauren Jones to put Florida Gulf Coast up 1-0. They didn't waste any time, though, getting back on the score sheet once again as Matthew Briggs, right off the center ice faceoff, scooted down the left wing, worked around the outside of the left circle, and snuck a right-handed shot up and into the top short side corner past Lauren Jones to make it a 2-0 game 10 seconds after this game was scoreless. And for Lauren Jones, he was kind of hanging his head after that goal, but it's really not something he can stop. There's really nothing he can do about that goal just because he's a smaller goaltender, so it's harder for him to take up the top half of the net. And where Briggs put that shot, it was just a beauty, putting it up and over the right shoulder of Jones as he was hugging that left post, and it made it a 2-0 game on a dazzling shot there from Matthew Briggs. And that would be it for the scoring in the first period, and power plays were roughly even. Central Michigan went 0 for 1 on the power play. They had one opportunity that only lasted 2 seconds because Ben Reichuk got a penalty 2 seconds into their opportunity. Florida Gulf Coast went really 0 for 1 in that first period, but technically 0 for 2. Same situation after the Malfitano penalty expired. Reichuk was out 2 seconds later. Really nothing you can do on the power play when it's only 2 seconds. So that moves us on to the second period. About halfway through, Chippewas were on a power play with Gordon in the box for a trip. It was Pettengill who broke up the pass, or broke up clearing opportunity by Central Michigan at the right point that led to a turnover, and it was Wallace in all alone from the line, and he snuck a shot past Lauren Jones's blocker to make it a 3-0 game. That second period got a bit chippy for CMU, but they kept themselves cool. Only one penalty committed for CMU in that second period as they went 1 for 1 on the penalty kill, but Florida Gulf Coast committed 3 infractions, and CMU couldn't do anything on any of those power plays. They go 0 for 3 in that second period. Moving on to the third period, that's when everything started to go wrong. CMU couldn't get anything going on the ice. They were struggling getting back and forth, and in that third period, let's count, CMU had 1, 2, 3, 4 penalties in that game, in that period, including at the buzzer a post-game disqualification to assistant coach Austin Whaley. So he will not be behind the bench tomorrow for Central Michigan's game against Ferris State University. He was giving it to the referees all night, and they finally had enough, and I think rightfully so. They had enough, and so Austin Whaley will not be behind the bench for CMU tomorrow. But outside of that, Central Michigan committed 3 infractions in that third period, and things just got out of hand, especially late in that game when there was a check to the head penalty. Late in that one, a 5-minute major as Brendan Clements went down, and standing over him was number 23, Evan McNamara, after McNamara cleaned out Clements, and that led to a little scrum. Porzondik getting into it, and Chippewas just lost their cool, which I know I didn't get to them before the game, and it slipped my mind during it, but our keys to the game were for the Chippewas to keep their cool and strike early. They didn't strike early. They struck 19-19 into the third when Connor Morgan got his got his first of the game, and he played pretty well here tonight. Connor Morgan was one of the Chippewas all over the ice, and he got his goal with the assist from Isaac Gibbs. Isaac Gibbs extends his point streak to 5 after he missed that first Cleary game last weekend. On the power play, Florida Gulf Coast went 0 for 5. Central Michigan went 0 for 7 on the evening. So special teams and those penalty kills really the difference here in this one. There's a lot of power plays were on the way, but CMU couldn't do anything with them, and neither could Florida Gulf Coast. Taking a look at our players to watch, obviously we had Morgan and Nadu for CMU. Morgan got his goal, so he's the only Chippewa outside of Gibbs to notch a mark on the score sheet. And for Florida Gulf Coast, we had Pettengill. He got an assist, but Davidson did not get on the score sheet other than a couple of penalties. Again, keys to the game, Chippewas didn't really keep their cool, especially toward the end. They kind of let things get out of control, and they did not strike early. That had to be the theme here tonight. They're playing a tired Florida Gulf Coast team, and Florida Gulf Coast just kind of took control of the game early, and it was all Florida Gulf Coast from about the halfway point of the first period on. 3 stars of the game for Florida Gulf Coast. Number 3, Wallace getting his first goal of the year and the first of his ACHA career. We've also got Matthew Briggs sliding in at star number 2. Briggs had a goal, the game-winning goal for the Eagles. And then Jared Wolford getting the shutout here tonight for no, pardon me, not the shutout. He had 1 goal. That's my bad. But he still gets first star for how well he shut down CMU's offensive attack here this afternoon. Central Michigan is back in action tomorrow, Sunday, here at Martin Eisner at 12:30 p.m. broadcast. Time for 1 p.m. puck drop. Devin Sarah will be back here in the booth with me for that one. We'll have it right here on CCHN. And for Florida Gulf Coast, they go on next Friday to take on Rowan at home to start a long homestand for the Eagles. These are the only 3 home games or road games that they will play all season. The rest will be at Hertz Arena down in Estero, Florida. Out of town scoreboard again, Grand Rapids in action against San Diego tonight. You can listen to that game on Wood Radio 1300, 106.9 FM with Bob Kazer and Larry Figursky on the call. And then the Saginaw Spirit at the Erie Otters in OHL action. You can listen to that game on 100.5 WSGW out of Saginaw. And then the Wings are at New Jersey here tonight. That one started back at 7. Special thanks to our cameraman, Jack Lee, a scratch for Florida Gulf Coast. He worked the camera for us and allowed us to bring live pictures to you here at home. Thank you so much for him and their head coach, Thomas Philbin, for lending us a scratch to be able to operate the camera here tonight. Well, that'll just about do it for us this afternoon, but we'll be back tomorrow when Central Michigan takes on Ferris State. Until then, this is Reagan Cleaves for everybody else here at CCHN saying so long from Martin Ice Arena in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, as the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles hand the Central Michigan Chippewas their first loss of the campaign by a final score of 3-1. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful night, everybody.